On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
I'm just sitting there like, well, if they do this is going to happen right now. There's going to be riots. There's going to be people unhappy. And then my husband will say, but this is good because later on, such and such is going to happen. It makes a lot of sense when you say it that way, when it comes down to like stocks, everything. Yeah. Thank you, Crimson.
Okay. Somebody want to follow up? Everybody went, right?
Really, you don't got no thoughts after hearing all of that? Because I know you said you didn't know, so I'm wondering if there's anything that you thinking now.
Let the ladies cook. I definitely get it. It's kind of along the lines of what I was kind of already thinking, so it all makes sense. I just would
really?
when the women break down how they view the world and how they view men and men's role, then yeah, it makes sense. That's all.
All right, Crimson Cure. Why are women uninterested in life beyond their own circle?
Well, because women live their lives from the outside in, from the inside out, and men live their lives from the outside in. And what I mean by that is women live internally. We experience things emotionally first, and that's our internal thing. And then we experience things on our logic and reason. Okay. So we have, I call them filters. So we filter our experiences through our emotion. At any given time, a woman can tell you how she feels about something, but she may or may not be able to tell you what she thinks about something at a particular time. Men work the opposite way. They can tell you what they think at just about any given time on any given subject. But if you ask them about how they feel, maybe he can tell you how he feels. Maybe he's interested in telling you how he feels, maybe not. To go a little deeper, I talk about something on my channel all the time called the 10 life values. And I break them up in internal and external. And the number 6 value is the beginning of external, and we call that mobility. Mobility is everything that happens in the environment outside of your home, right? So it is the infrastructure, if you will, of a society. It not only means your personal ability to be mobile, but also all the things that go into the physical manifestation of everything that we do. So there's a spiritual side, but then the physical manifestation of that would be churches or masjids or something like that. We have a health side, which is internal, but then the physical manifestation of that would be hospitals and pharmacies and big pharma and all of that type of thing. Since men live externally, they experience life differently than women do. They have foresight naturally, a little bit more than women do. His interest in the world outside of him and the world around him helps him to make decisions for himself and for anybody that's in his group that he's in charge of. It helps him make these decisions. In other words, mobility, which is really what we're talking about, is the building of the world and all that goes into that. Men have to be interested in that. Now, their level of knowledge about it may differ from man to man, but generally speaking, men have to be aware of their environmental factors and why the environmental factors are what they are, because they have to know how they're affected, and they also have to know how their families are affected by these things. Conversely, women live internally. So I agree with Anton here that if it does not directly or at least indirectly affect us or our family or our children or something like that, we're not paying it too much mind, because it's not affecting my world. It's not going to stop me from eating or make me eat more. It's not endangering me, or it's not endangering my children or anything like that. So, I don't have to know necessarily about all these different factors that go into infrastructure. We're not too interested in that. I'm definitely gonna wrap it up, Amira, so you can speak. We're not too interested in that, mainly because historically, this is why men have built societies and women do not do this.
Crimson, so are you saying that this is a survival thing? Like, because it's in men's best interest for survival to build the world and so on and so forth. This is why they're interested in those things, whilst women, in our survival, we don't have to think about that building, but we have to think about more of how we perceive the world, how we're taking it in, rather than building it. Are you saying it's because of survival? I just want to be.
Yeah, we can say survival, but it would probably be more appropriate to say it's in his nature to do it.
Okay.
Because men are responsible for this stuff. They're responsible for building infrastructure. Nobody's dependent on a group of women to build a whole infrastructure of a whole society. Nobody's dependent on women for that. Mainly because we don't have foresight for that. Men can attempt to problem solve years into the future because that's just a function of their foresight. Yes. Women have insight, conversely. So imagine that women can look at a situation on a macro level. We're up close to it. We can see the nuances and the details, and we understand the details of a situation very clearly. Imagine a man being 2,000 feet in the air. He has a better aerial view of the entire picture. So he might not be down here in the minutia, but he is up top getting a bird's eye view. So what you can't see, he has to see.
This really works well for politics when you think about politics and how even with like men like my husband and such, when it comes down to stocks, politics, this man can see where things are going 5-10 years ahead of me, and I'm still thinking about the effect that it's going to have right now. I'm thinking like, well, if he does this, I'm sorry, my husband's in the background. If you think about, I'm just sitting there like, well, if they do this, this is going to happen right now. There's going to be riots. There's going to be people unhappy. And then my husband will say, but this is good because later on, such and such is going to happen. It makes a lot of sense when you say it that way, when it comes down to like stocks, everything. Yeah. Thank you, Crimson.
Okay. Somebody want to follow up? Everybody went, right?
Really, you don't got no thoughts after hearing all of that? Because I know you said you didn't know, so I'm wondering if there's anything that you thinking now.
Let the ladies cook. I definitely get it. It's kind of along the lines of what I was kind of already thinking, so it all makes sense. I just would want to hear them.
Really?
When the women break down how they view the world and how they view men and men's role, then yeah, it makes sense. That's all.